Hello and welcome to Pete and the Wookiee Reviews.
Yeah, the first one of 2019.
And
We're here.
In fact, technically the first one ever, really, isn't it?
It is. It was Love Hate Films. It's now Pete and the Wookiee Reviews.
Yeah, so hello and welcome to Pete and the Wookiee Reviews rather than Love Hate Films. And welcome to 2019. And hi guys, we're back!
Yay!
How you doing? We're doing good. Although a little late to the start, so apologies to any of our loyal subscribers who've stuck with us. Thank you for that. And hopefully we're going to gain a few more after today's video.
Be nice. So yeah, it's our 1 year anniversary, and what better way to mark being 1 year than our second annual Oscars show.
Yeah, why not? You know what? Let's have a little toast to that.
Cheers.
You got your tea-wok there.
I've got tea-wok.
Somebody's driving, so, you know, be responsible. Tea-wok.
Cheers.
Yeah, so
On with the show, as they say.
on with the show. So, guys, we've gone back to roots, we've gone back to the beginning, and we've gone back to the Oscars.
Indeed.
So we covered last year's Oscars, and here we're to talk about the winners of the 2019 Estranged Oscars, which we'll get on to, but...
Well, let's start with that. As good a place as any, because it was a different format.
Yeah.
The first time in 30 years they did not have a host. And reasons for that is they wanted this year to be more inclusive, have more categories. So to do that, something had to go, because they're obviously got time restraints on how long the programme can be. So it was the host that ended up going. They were going to do some of the awards in the advert breaks, but people kicked off and said no. So instead they included them all. There were no awards given in the advert breaks. However, it meant that there was a 90-second time limit on acceptance speeches. So quite a lot during the night where people were talking away, and then all of a sudden the mic was cut, the music came up and the lights came off of them, and the voiceover person introduced who was coming on next, which was amusing to say the least. And Spike Lee, the only one to swear in the whole thing, and he was around that, and he said, "Don't start that motherfucking clock," or words to that
You gotta
effect.
love it. You really do.
I do. Spike
Props
Lee,
to Spike.
personal favourite of mine. As I've said many times before, the
And,
Love Hate Films is named after Radio Raheem, Love and Hate, which Spike Lee was wearing on the night. He was wearing the rings.
He did indeed. Yes.
What a ledge.
What a ledge. But as I say, speaking of ledges of the opposite sex, we're going to kick off this category with Best Actress.
Yeah, so, winner was...
Olivia Colman, who, I tell you what, good on you, Olivia. I've followed you for a little while. I say all you.
Stalked her, have you?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I know what colour her curtains are.
Good.
Teal, it turns out. You'd never guess it. Only joking, I do not stalk Olivia Colman, but famous, of course, for many British over the years.
Peep Show.
Yep, Peep Show, fantastic and Hot Fuzz as well. As a bit of a dirty West Country girl.
Uh-huh.
So she evidently fills all roles, and fantastic acceptance speech as well. It was
Really good.
Slightly more down to earth, which maybe it's the plucky Brits bringing that kind of a viewpoint.
Yeah, it was
into
very
things.
personable, showed her as a real human being, and it was really great. So hers was the best speech of the night. Last year's best speech was Frances McDermott, but for very different reasons. She had a lot to say about equality and contracts and equal pay in films, which was fantastic. And that's why it was the best. This was best for a very different reason, just because of how human Olivia Colman came across. She was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of which, and speaking of the new odd time format, we've got to wrap this up. Sorry, mate.
Okay, well, let's end that there then.
Yeah.
Your timer is up.
Yeah.
So next, Best Actor. Ooh.
Go on.
Rami
Go on.
Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. No.
He did rock you.
No, he didn't. I don't think the film should have been in the Oscars in the first place. I just don't think it was a very good film. It wasn't factually accurate in the order that some of the events happened. And at the end of the day, it didn't tell you enough about Freddie Mercury and his story. His story is much better than what was portrayed in the film. It was very highlights of this is our career from beginning to end, and I'd like to have seen a lot more about Freddie Mercury and his struggles in his world and how that related to Queen and its popularity, not really what you got from the film. So I don't think it was good enough. Full stop.
Fair enough. I think Adam Levine's got something to look up to as the one now touring in lieu of Freddie with Queen, of course.
Yeah, he opened the Oscars, so they did 2 songs or short snippets of songs, which one of them being We Will Rock You.
Fair enough. I mean, for me, Rami Malek's got a little bit of an element that I like. In fact, he featured in a game which the name totally escapes me. We will caption down below as usual. But they did a lot of motion capture for him, and it actually portrayed him as an actor in the game. Very, very realistic. It was based on a bit of a butterfly effect thing, decision-based game. It was a horror. Peter Stormhold's in it, I believe. But anyway, yeah, Rami Malek, you know what, fair play.
Yeah, you don't win Oscars for games, though, do you? You win Oscars for your...
No, you win Oscars for talent, Pete, which clearly Rami Malek has done. So we will adjudicate this because of our strict time limit. So you cannot say any more on the hate front for Rami Malek. Moving on.
Hate front, but I will trump you there. Last time we did our Marmites
Oscar special.
Yeah, which we are lovingly calling the Marmites. So the first ever Marmite Awards.
Because just like Love Hate Film, with Marmite, the popular yeasty product that it is, we did indeed.
So my Marmite goes to Christian Bale, who was phenomenal as his role and his change into a lot of makeup, obviously, but Dick Cheney was brilliant. So
absolutely. Well, yeah, as I say, as a method actor, yeah, certainly pulled it out of the bag. He gained a lot of weight and that scary sort of Dick Cheney look, and yeah,
he was great. He was absolutely great, and for Vice is the film that he was in. So I think he should have won over Rami Malek. So I'll give him my Marmite.
There we go. So the return of the Marmites from Love Hate Film. Sorry, Pete and the Wookiee reviews.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. But moving on with that time limit, with the Marmite exception, to Best Director.
Yeah, so Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, which had a bit of controversy around it itself. This is a Netflix release, and to be able to qualify for the Oscars, you have to have a cinema release, so they showed it in a limited capacity at some cinemas just so they could get the film in there, and to be fair, it did well on the night. So Best Director for Alfonso Cuarón, as we said. It also won Best Foreign Language Film and a couple of other things as well. I think in total it got 4 awards. So yeah, fair play to the film itself, and props to Netflix. You know, they're doing some great stuff. You can't get away from it.
Absolutely.
What they're putting out at the moment is good.
I mean, what started off
some as tripe as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but what started off as a mail order DVD service, you know, is now getting up there into the Oscars. I mean, how did this happen? It is a bit of a strange era. I mean, I'll be honest with the Oscars this year. Fantastically is inclusive, as it was. Exclusive. In fact, quite the opposite, and we'll get onto that. But as inclusive as it was, and as much as I feel like, you know, the likes of the Me Too movement, the likes of inclusive contracts, you know, clauses have helped. And it's evident. But my God, they had to cram that much in, and this is evidently why they've went for this format of no host.
Yep.
I know there's a bit of controversy around Kevin Hart prior to that, but as I say, que sera, sera. But the viewing figures did go up, didn't they?
Yeah, higher viewing ratings this year than compared to last.
Yeah, if I remember right, it's something between 26 and 29 million, something to that effect. So, you know, a couple more million as far as viewing figures go.
Percentage-wise, it's a good increase.
Is evidently showing that is it heading in the right direction? Is this indeed a revival? But
time will tell.
Time will tell indeed. But then I suppose that leads us on to the final category, the prestigious Best Film.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun! Dun dun dun!
So the winner was Green Book.
Green Book.
In its own right, a very, very good film, and Mahershala Ali won Best Supporting Actor in it, and Viggo Mortensen was up for an award as well. So yeah, a story set in the 50s and racial tension is obviously what surrounds it, and a great film. I personally think it should not have won. I personally, as we've already said, I'm a massive Spike Lee fan. I think BlacKkKlansman should have took it all day long. Similar sort of subject. It's set around racial tensions in the 70s. The first black policeman to infiltrate the KKK. Brilliant film, very funny and in places, and also very poignant and very thought-provoking, because at the end of the film it shows a montage of how the world is today and what the story was saying and how they were going to change things. It's actually come to light, and it is just as bad today, if not worse, than it was back in the 70s in America, and that surprised me. So for that message that it got across, and for the fact that it's Spike Lee and all of the other things that make the BlacKkKlansman a fantastic film, I would have chosen that, not Green Book. But don't get me wrong, Green Book was great.
And I also think you've got another obsession with Marmite as well as Spike Lee, clearly. But do you know what? That is one that I will well agree on. Bohemian Rhapsody, maybe not so much, but yeah, absolutely. Green Book had its moments, but BlacKkKlansman,
By far away, I think it's a superior film.
You're
but
there.
I can see why Green Book won, because it is great and it is justified to be a winner. My personal preference would have been elsewhere, but there you go. That's what the Oscars are for.
Absolutely. But interestingly, with the Oscars having recently come up, and this is, I suppose, a final thought from me, and a little bit of an appeal to not only, I suppose, support people out there of this persuasion. British film. Now, it's not been a category for some time, and fair enough, do you know what? We've not produced anything to scratch. However, there have been a few things cropping up lately that I've noticed, and it might be, Netflix, a Sky release, whatever the case may be, and it will be something that, unbeknownst to us, came out. And there was one, I believe, Gloves Off, starring Alan Ford and Ricky Tomlinson, who, God, I love the royal family. I would love to watch that, but no advertisement whatsoever behind it. And my only question is why? Why aren't we doing it more? Why aren't we going for things that can make Oscar-worthy stuff? And we've got the talent, certainly, as proven by Olivia Colman. So why aren't we doing it? So just maybe a little bit of a thought provoker for any, people fancying a bit of a, Saturday night flick. Why not have a look for a bit of a back catalogue of a... Excuse me again, Guinness, awful. Why not have a look for a good back catalogue of British film? Why not?
Yeah,
Do it.
Do it. Don't feel pressurised though. Do it if you want to, but it's worth it. You'll reap the rewards if you do.
Do it, or I will find you, like I found Olivia Colman and found out that she had teal curtains. But there we go.
Yeah, if you don't want him
Throwback.
peeking through your windows, then look at some old school British films. It's worth it. There's lots out there, and we do have a great film industry. I think you're right though. It's not as great as it has been probably sort of 10 years ago.
No.
So yeah, well, that was our Oscars show. The second annual Oscars award show, or Marmites, whatever you want to call them, coming to you from Pete and the Wookiee Review.
Pete and the Wookiee Review. And as I say, guys, we will be back with you soon. I appreciate that we have a little bit like the Oscars tonight, changed a couple of formats, but one message that we will leave you with, as we always do, may the force be with you.
Always.